we're nearing tipping points in all sorts of natural systems like our oceans. And if our oceans are continue to be heated, superheated by the emissions of fossil fuels and other greenhouse gas emissions, we are going to see massive hurricanes and typhoons around the world. We're going to see sea level rise that's going to inundate cities. We are much closer to tipping points in natural systems than our leaders are telling us. And I believe that China and the US in particular have got to lead the way. I was disappointed that there weren't more outcomes out of John Kerry's visit to Beijing last month. I believe that President Biden and President Xi need to meet this fall and put climate change #1 on the agenda, that together the world's 2 largest emitters have to reduce their emissions. I'm also very disappointed that China has not put forward a methane plan. Methane is a key greenhouse gas, 80 times more powerful than CO2. China has yet to put forward a methane plan, even though they promised it 2 years ago. There is a lot of work for us to do to protect the public safety and national security of people around the world.
There's still a lot to be done for sure, Paul. I want to address the fact that this year we have seen so many extreme weather events, and I think that's a big question for us. Why is it so bad this year compared to years past? Is this just a culmination of the global emissions that we've had, or is there something else going on here?
There are 2 reasons, Francis. The first is that we're now in a new El Nino pattern, and that tends to warm the northern hemisphere more than the La Nina pattern. But the underlying reason is that we've been emitting massive amounts of greenhouse gas emissions, especially in the last 30 years when we've known that this is a huge problem. We cannot continue business as usual, or we are going to undermine the public safety, national security, agriculture, water supplies, and economic value of nations all around the world. We're all in this together, and the US and China have to lead. I really believe that President Xi and President Biden recognize this problem, but they have got to come up with concrete plans so that Chinese emissions begin to fall and US emissions begin to fall far faster than they are now.
I mean, if it's so bad this year, what does the future hold for us? You know, could it be even worse than what we're seeing already?
Oh, it will be. That's already baked into the system. Your viewers have to understand that we're feeling the effects of emissions from 100 years ago. CO2, half of CO2 stays in the atmosphere 100 years. 10% of CO2 stays in the atmosphere 1,000 years. We are risking the livelihoods and lives of our children and future generations, as well as ours today. We have got to get hold of this problem. The good news is we finally have cheap technologies, energy and other technologies that can produce the power we need while limiting emissions. We can solve this problem with current and newer technologies that are coming online, but we need the political will, and our leaders have to lead. This is an urgent plea to President Biden and President Xi to begin to meet and help solve this problem.
Political will and leadership certainly is a factor here, but also I imagine the public plays a role in pushing leadership to implement these kinds of measures. Do you think that there might be more of a push from the public, given all these events that we're seeing this year and kind of the direct effects people are seeing from their own perspectives?
It's a very good point, Francis. Thank you. I believe, for example, American viewers are going to begin to reject people like Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis, who don't take climate change seriously, even though it's undermining the quality of life in Florida for their own constituents. I believe that climate change is coming into view as a key public safety and national security and economic issue in the United States and in countries around the world. And I think populations are going to demand that our leaders take action.
Paul Bledsoe, thank you so much for your expertise and being on our program today.
Thank you.